Welcome back to KTN Prime. Thank you so much for staying with us. It's now time for that conversation I had touted a little bit earlier on, all to do with matters, governance and politics. We'll be evaluating the political landscape in the country, and a lot has happened in just a few days. Changes at IEBC to changes in Azimio. What exactly do they mean? Not just that, we've had an aspirants meeting at State House as UDA sets to get its affairs in order ahead of the 2027 general election. Does it still command a following compared to the 2022 general election? Well, we'll be discussing that, including matters to do with ODM, which seems to be pulling in different directions. Will the cracks persist? And will ODM stay united? Those are some of the questions we'll be deliberating upon with my guests right here in studio. Allow me to introduce them. I'm joined by Dismas Mokua, political risk analyst. Karibu sana to our studios.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Equally joined by Philip Kisia, who's a newly appointed executive director at Azimio La Umoja. He's equally a governance expert. Karibu sana.
Thank you, Jesse.
Thank you for your time. Equally joined by Irungu Nyakera, who's a former PS and equally happens to be the DCP patron in Nairobi County. Nyakera, it's great to have you with us.
Thank you.
Asante sana for your time. Well, gentlemen, a lot has happened in the political space, and I'd like us to begin with what Kenya's bold newspaper, The Standard, is leading with tomorrow, because it's all to do with evaluating that candidates meeting that was held by President William Ruto, actually aspirants meeting that was held by President William Ruto in State House, Nairobi. The paper is poking holes into the pool by the UDA party. Remember, it had most numbers as we left the 2022 general election, bearing in mind Azimio coalition, or is it Azimio party? But anyway, we're taking a look at the numbers within UDA, and according to the paper, they've just broken down the illusion of numbers. Up to 12,353 aspirants converged at State House, but the numbers seem to be skewed towards certain regions, including some of the notable figures that were missing in that aspirants meeting, especially from the Mount Kenya region, where UDA arguably is facing a downward trend when it comes to its popularity. Some might argue that due to the emergence of DCP and other like-minded parties. I'd like to begin with you, Dismas, just briefly as we evaluate that particular headline. What do you make of the 2027 realignments and the reports that some of the Mount Kenya bigwigs were missing from that particular meeting? Does it expose the dwindling fortunes of the party in the populous Mount Kenya region from where you sit?
Well, thanks for the opportunity, and I'm glad to share fora with two gentlemen who served Kenya in very high capacities. Now, number one, President Ruto is a master storyteller, and he knows how to play with numbers, because the positions that will be running for next year is 1,881, and we are told there were 12,000 aspirants. I mean, people have declared interest in running. So essentially, the picture I wanted to paint is that there's a stampede for UDA. And you saw him telling the story that the people who are gathered at State House are the ones who've been able to read the crystal ball, and they know where Kenya is going. And you know, with those pictures, he's carefully managing the perceptions. But as you look at the 2027 scoreboard, we are going to face what Donald Rumsfeld at some stage indicated, a political space where you have known knowns and known knowns. It's going to be very, very complicated. But what is very clear that most likely it's going to be a two-horse race. And one of the candidates is represented here by Philip Kisia, that is likely to be Kalonzo Musyoka, as well as William Samoei Ruto. And I think that is what people really need to pay attention to. And on how the formations are going to be, and then also look at the individual candidates. There are so many people who are going to be political orphans, and others are hanging on to popular political leaders, not because they've delivered, but simply because they're going to be beneficiaries of the wave. However, you have a number of candidates whose probability of winning is almost guaranteed, irrespective of the political party or irrespective of the political wave. For instance, if you look at a candidate like Mr. Irungu Kangata, the governor from Murang'a, the evidence suggests that he's done very well and he will get re-elected. It doesn't matter on which political party, because if you look at some of the key parameters, like on-source revenue, understand is increased to 1.2 million, is paid for, medical insurance for around 160,000 persons. So those are the things that people would be looking for. So those are the strong candidates. You would even say the same of Richard Onyonka, the Kisii senator, who has done very well, and even Irene Njoki, the MP for Bahati. So there are some candidates who are going to get re-elected, irrespective of the political party, but there are others right now who are kissing the various kings. They're kissing their rings. Like, for instance, there are so many people today who would struggle for a photo opportunity with Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, because that picture alone may guarantee them an election or a re-election. Others would struggle for a photo opportunity with President Ruto, because that will give them an election or a re-election. Okay. And that is what compromises our political space in Kenya, that you do not necessarily get the sharpest tools in the shed going to the National Assembly or winning elective position, but because of some of these waves. It's unlikely that we'll have a merit-based election, because it appears that Kenyans have abandoned character, capacity, and competence.
Interesting. And remember, this in the backdrop of a report that highlighted up to 56% attrition rate in Parliament. So they're definitely trying to align for their best interest and perhaps Kenya's best interest. But the voter will have their say.
But again, that is, it depends on the reference point, because I've seen a research which indicates that on average it's actually 64%, while Nigeria has got the highest rate, about 80%. Okay. And borrowing from that report, it said that people from these emerging democracies or young democracies, people get kicked out very fast. They hardly retain their positions. But in mature democracies like the UK, in the House of Reps, the retention rate is as high as 90%. While for the senators still in the US, it's as high as 85%. Okay. And again, if you look at what scholars are saying, that compromises democracy.
Interesting. As you come in, Kisii, first of all, should we congratulate you on your recent appointment? Because former President Uhuru Kenyatta made a move to reassert his grip in the opposition. And this is for the benefit of our viewers. A couple of changes were approved after a joint meeting of Azimio's Council and National Executive Committee. Kalonzo Musyoka is now the new leader of Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Coalition. Suba MP Karoli Omondi is the Secretary General, and Philip Kisii himself is completing the trio of appointments as the Executive Director. Perhaps as you give us your take, what necessitated these changes? People are curious. Is ODM still in Azimio? Because they've described the changes that were made as irregular. There's a faction that has come out to say that today, and an attempt to exercise non-existent powers. What do you tell them?
Well, Jesse, thank you very much for this opportunity, and I'm happy to be with my friend Dismas and Irungu. Now, even before I dive into the issue that you've raised, let me say that it's unfortunate that State House, and I don't know why people don't understand why that place is called State House. It is a symbol of national unity. It does not belong to any political party. It does not belong to any individual. It belongs to the state, who include the people of Kenya. So we all are part of that house. And it's a place that we are supposed to exercise a lot of decorum and civility. Unfortunately, this administration has fallen short. Now, my friend Dismas talked about the president being a good storyteller. And I have no reason to doubt my friend Dismas. But you know, between good storytelling and inflicting pain on people through heavy taxation, between good storytelling and leaving your citizens bleeding because of high taxation and a high cost of living, I'm telling you, no amount of storytelling will remove that pain. No amount of storytelling will stop the bleeding. people are bleeding. So the figure of 12,352 attendees is a good figure. But people can read in between the lines. There are only 1,800 or so available seats from MCA to the president. So I don't know why somebody would imagine that these jobs are so attractive that they'll attract such huge numbers. But again, I must tell you that we are fairly smart. We have dissected those numbers. And as you rightly put it, almost 80% of that figure was generated from a certain region. Now, if you go further and analyze critically those figures, I'm told even some of them were just, drivers who had driven the delegates to State House, but they were counted. There are those who went there, paid 2,000 to attend, as a potential candidate, as an aspirant, knowing very well that it was good business. You spend 2,000, you're paid 5,000. Just for attending a meeting, and then you are fed properly. That is not a bad day to any person. So Kenyans are smart, and they're using every opportunity to make sure that they take the last coin from this particular administration. So the question that we should be asking ourselves is who attended, where they came from, why they attended, and what they were expecting.
Okay.
Were they expecting that they be given a ticket? I doubt. Getting back to the issue of Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Alliance Coalition Party, this is the strongest movement that we have in the Republic of Kenya. And that is why it is causing jitters. People are feeling the heat. And we've only been in existence for less than 48 hours. From the time the documents were submitted to the registrar of political parties, it's actually less than 48 hours. So you can, just try and imagine what will happen in the months to come. We are ready for the task. We were anticipating those particular headwinds. We knew that people will rush to court. They'll be sent by their masters to court with very frivolent cases. So we prepared. We did everything within the book. We read that particular deed of, the deed that we signed.
Okay.
All the political parties had signed. We went line by line, and we were careful, and we never missed a step. So those who are rushing to court thinking that they will get some reprieve from the courts, they are wasting their time. They will rather now start focusing on the next general elections. Because I'm telling you, Jesse, I'm telling you, this time round, you're talking about a retention of 40%. 20% will be lucky to get back to parliament.
Okay, Nyakera, is DCP in Azimio as things stand? Because we've seen your party leader closely associating with the united opposition, Kalonzo Musyoka being the leader of Azimio. Do you associate with Azimio la Umoja as DCP?
First of all, thank you very much for having us here tonight, and I'm really grateful to be here with my two very good friends. And before I go to that, I think there's a question that had been, has been talked about on issues of the attendance of the meeting yesterday at State House. And I echo the sentiments of Philip Kisia with regards to that State House is actually supposed to be more around national unity, bringing everyone together. We've seen PGs, which is meetings of the leadership of the party, the ruling party, happening at State House, happened during Uhuru Kenyatta's time, where Jubilee used to have a meeting of the leaders. But I think this is the first time we've actually seen almost like an NDC for the party, which is when you have 12,500 people assembling to State House, all dressed in yellow, then that's really about the party. I also look at the numbers. You see, you're talking about 12,300 people. And if each of them went home with 5,000, as we were told, it's about 60 million before they are fed. So the question is, who funded the 60 million? Was it from the registrar of political parties, the UDA kitty, or is it part of the printing costs, which we kind of get to see some of the expenditures that come from State House? I think there needs to be a very clear, the president needs to be clear on where the party offices are and where the kind of the state offices are. With regards to DCP, first is I'd like to congratulate His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka for being appointed as the party leader for Azimio la Umoja. And I'd also like to congratulate my friend Philip for the appointment as the executive director for Azimio. I think for us, we believe that there is no single party that is going to rule this country. And generally, parties are regional. I was the chairman of Political Parties Liaison Committee at some point, and we saw that all the political parties have strongholds in certain areas. Like if you look at the meeting, as I said, from State House yesterday, while UDA is the ruling party, over 50% of the attendees were from the Rift Valley, while the others were from the other areas. If you look at ODM today, they call for an NDC. 80% also will be from one region. Same for WIPA, same for DCP. So political parties are more regional than national. What makes them national is the coalition that they sit on. Then the coalition brings in all the different regions to the table of the coalition to be able to address now national issues. So for DCP is happy that the Azimio as a coalition is taking shape in some form, but DCP is not part of the Azimio. As you know, DCP was not there in the last election. It was not signatory of the coalition agreements, and currently DCP is part of the United Opposition Movement, where we have the different political parties from DAP, WIPA, Jubilee, and the others are part of the wider United Opposition. You see, the challenge with Azimio, from where we sit, is that we don't know who's in, who's out. There are some of the people who are in Azimio, and on the other side, they're on the broad-based government. So we need time, even as DCP, to understand this nice animal that is being called Azimio. And with fullness of time, we will know whether it is in government or whether it is with us in opposition. And at that time, then, we will decide whether we are supporting it or not. For now, we just congratulate the office holders, and we wish them well, and we hope that they can make the right decision. And the decision is actually to join the people, which is in the United Opposition.
Okay, I guess in the fullness of time we'll get to know. But still with you, Irungu, because just this week we heard of rumors of a handshake, yet another one, this time round between former President Uhuru Kenyatta and your party leader, Rigathi Gachagua. And according to the reports, this is an agreement that was brokered all the way in Nigeria. So why would leaders from the mountain have to come together all the way in Nigeria just for political expediency? Talk to us. When is this handshake happening? Is it true? Is it a rumor? What's happening behind the scenes?
It's certainly not a rumor. It's true that that handshake will be had, and actually it's been had. There have been several meetings. So it's more around the giving directions to the Mount Kenya region. As we say that political parties are regional. DCP, while commands a lot of support outside Mount Kenya, would still say that 60% of the support will still be in Mount Kenya. The same with Jubilee, was mostly Mount Kenya support, although right now Fred Matiang'i is also taking it to the Kisii and Nyamira region. So we'd still want to have the unity for the people, that we are all moving in the same direction. I think the emphasis from our leaders, at least in the United Opposition, with Jubilee being one of them, is that we need to fix our eyes on the goal. And the goal is to ensure that the current administration does not last a day past the 2027 election. That's what the united opposition's dream and goal is. So if we need a handshake for that to happen, it will happen.
So be it.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Dismas, as you react to what has been mentioned right there, the political relevance of coalitions in Kenya have quite a short shelf life. So is the united opposition flogging a dead horse if they're trying to sort of revive Azimio in its true self and its force as it was in 2022?
Well, you know, when you look at the political parties in Kenya, in the strict definition, we don't have political parties in Kenya. We just have special purpose vehicles led by powerful political personalities. As Irungu has admitted, all these political parties are regional. That is why if you call an ODM meeting, you can predict the number of people who are going to run on an ODM ticket. They're from a particular region. So it's not surprising that the people at State House, they came from very, very specific regions, and nobody should be worried about that. And again, it's not unusual for UDA's competition to sort of cast aspersions on those numbers. Because I'm sure that if it was Azimio or DCP with a similar number of people of declared interest, then nobody would say they've done deep analysis and established that maybe the people are being given 5,000 or 2,000 to attend the meeting. But what is unique about Azimio and United Opposition is that Kalonzo is the common denominator. Okay. He's said to be the party leader of Azimio, while on the other side, again, he plays a key role. But what is very curious is, I don't know whether there's another mountain in Nigeria. It's very curious that you have President Kenyatta and Rigathi Gachagua moving all the way to Nigeria to craft a handshake, while there are so many opportunities in Kenya. And in my view, that would give the competition, or UDA, a lot of fodder for content. That they've been unable to establish their unity in Kenya. They have to go all the way to Nigeria. And if there's one presidential candidate as a result, then people will say, wait a minute, this presidential candidate is likely to be held hostage by these powerful political personalities. And maybe they'll be dancing to the drum beats of a powerful Nigerian man, because we understand it's former President Obasanjo who is crafting everything. But still, if they're able to get united and they come up with a very strategic narrative, then there's a very high probability that they'll give President Ruto a run for his money. And then there's a point made by my two friends here about State House. When we were growing up, and President Moi was the head of state, he kept the place very sacred. And any political meeting took place at KCC. So when you were watching the local bulletins, you knew that a meeting at State House is simply for the business of the state. But with the entry of President Kenyatta and now President Ruto, there are so many meetings taking place at State House, and maybe it's time President Ruto reviewed that position, so that the place maintains its sacred position. Because, you know, we're used to seeing heads of state being received at State House, not aspirants. But still, one can see merit in why President Ruto entertains people at State House. It's the dream of everybody, first of all, to go and occupy State House, or just go there for a photo opportunity and have a cup of tea. And understand it's got a magical effect. I've not been to State House, unlike my two friends here, but understand there's a magical effect. When you go there, even if you don't like President Ruto, you will begin to mellow. And then maybe you change your position. But looking at these coalitions, it's very early in the day to look at the permutations and combinations. And for DCP, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua has got a certain brand of politics, one which can easily fall in the category of toxic politics. And they may want the presidential candidate to be somebody like, a lapdog that he may want to control. So I don't know whether it would be possible to control Dr. Matiang'i and Kalonzo in that manner. Maybe that is the reason why President Uhuru Kenyatta has to come in and ensure that a coalition has been formed. However, again, for people who understand Mount Kenya politics and who speak the language, there is a growing resentment on President Kenyatta that his father was president, and then he was president, and he wants to have another person that he can control as a president. That is where other political parties like DP, the one of Justin Muturi, may actually be a party to watch in Mount Kenya. Because right now there's almost a stampede for DCP, and people are not sure whether or not he's going to have free and fair party primaries. And you've seen a number of people want to run on DCP looking at the exit door. So I think Mr. Nyakera has got a unique opportunity to assure Kenyans that a DCP being a Mount Kenyan-based political party, it will have free, fair, and credible party primaries.
Okay, well, the bills have to be paid. Hold on to your horses. Let's take a short commercial break. When we come back, we continue with the deliberations right from where we left off. Keep it KTN Prime.